Hello friends, I welcome you all to this online session of a drama paper, Special English BA Part 3. We were discussing types of drama, and while discussing types of drama, we have learned about a tragedy because a tragedy as a dramatic form is also prescribed to us separately besides the types of drama. And for that purpose, we invested an ample time on tragedy. We learn Aristotle's theory of tragedy. We learn the elements of a tragedy, and we also discuss certain tragedies. I also screened certain videos regarding tragedy. In the last session also, I have screened one video on a comedy as a genre, and that video was also very illustrative one. It gives you a detailed description of a comedy. So let us now discuss about a comedy and try to understand this subtype of a drama. So we have already learned about tragedy. So exactly opposite to tragedy is a comedy. So tragedy ends with the tragic elements, ends with the sad events. However, comedy ends with the happy moments. So this is what the basic difference between tragedy and comedy. When we translate it in Marathi, you can see tragedy is translated as a dukhantika. Dukhantika means that a play that ends with a sad moments, play that ends with the death of a hero, play that ends with a loss. So this is what you can see is a tragedy. And comedy is a translated as a sukhantika, that a play that ends with a sukh, that is a happy moment. So marriage, you can see, or prosperity, restoration, such kind of things you can see in the end of a comedy. So now let us read about the comedy and try to understand this subgenre. The basic definition of a comedy is that a play that ends with a happy moment, that is a comedy. It is not meant for the purgation of a pity and fear like a tragedy. Comedy is meant for the entertainment. It is meant for the entertainment purpose. It is not meant for the purgation of a pity and fear. So understand, this is the basic difference between a comedy and a tragedy. So let us start now. We use the words comedy and comic to describe something that is a funny in our everyday lives. Of course, yes, similar to the tragedy. We many times use a tragedy in our colloquial language, but that tragedy is nothing to do with tragedy as a form of a drama. Similarly, we were also using this word comedy in our colloquial language, but this word used in a colloquial context is nothing to do with a comedy as a genre or comedy as a subgenre of a drama. So we use the words comedy and comic to describe something that is a funny in our everyday life. So when we see that somebody is making a funny statement, you can see use it as a comic, or you use in a comedy. So this is what a day-to-day use of these words. These includes joke or fantastic story that is full of nonsense, or an absurd appearance that makes us a giggle, smile, or laugh. This is a comedy in our colloquial language. See, comedy is not inherent in things or people, but the way things people are perceived. So this is what you can see is a comedy. So comedy is a deliberate presentation of events, experiences drawn from real life, but not the same with a real life. So this is what you can see is the situation. So we should therefore not expect dramatic comedy to be the same as a real life. So there is a difference between dramatic comedy and comedy as a word used in a colloquial language. So see, generally the plays have good ending or resolutions. So when a play ends happily, we refer to it as a comedy. In most comedies, the principal characters being in a state of opposition either to one another or to their world or both. So you can understand that this is in comedy, the principal character being in a state of opposition either to one another or to their world or both. But by the end of the play, their opposition is replaced by harmony. So this is what you can see in the end. This play ends with a happy note. So the opposition with a world or a person is replaced by a harmony. This is called as a comedy. So you can understand that this is a stereotypical structure of a comedy. So if we want to understand a comedy, we should understand the stereotype. So in the comedy we learn that there is one protagonist, one person, one hero who is in a state of opposition either to one another, or the characters they were opposite to one another, or to their world or both. So you can understand that in most of the plays, most of the comedies, you can see that the characters played opposite to each other, but in the end they resolve with a harmony. By the end of the play, their opposition is replaced by harmony. Aristotle, in his Poetics, insisted that in a tragedy, men are shown better than they are, while in comedy, worse than they are. So, this is what you can see is the difference between tragedy and comedy according to the Aristotle. What he is saying that in tragedy, men are shown better than they are. However, in comedy, worse than they are. The mains were shown worse than they are. So this is what, especially when we think about Shakespeare and Shakespearean comedies, you can see Falstaff. You can see it is the worst character we ever see. So for him, it is an artistic imitation of a man of inferior moral bent. This is also very important sentence here. According to the Aristotle, uh, it is an artistic imitation of a man. What kind of men? Men of an inferior moral bent. They were not moral, but they were immoral. Not in every way, but only in so far as their shortcomings are ludicrous. So this is what you can say is the very important thing Aristotle is giving us. He is analyzing the very nature of a comedy. He is saying that comedy is not depicting the main of a noble or main of a moral as we see in a tragedy, but in comedy you can see main of a inferior moral being. The characters were the main of an inferior moral being. So these shortcomings cause no pain, but these shortcomings, though they were inferior moral pain, as Falstaff you can see, read about Falstaff if it is possible for you. It is very interesting character in Shakespearean historical plays. So you can see this Falstaff is also a man of an inferior moral bent. So, this is also very interesting to note that these shortcomings in the characters cause no pain. So, this is only meant to create a comedy. So, in the classical period, there was no mixture of a genres. Horace maintains that a tragic characters must be noble, while comic characters are ignoble and of a lower birth and foolish. So this is also very important thing that we should understand. In the classical period, there was no mixture of a genres. Horace maintains that tragic characters must be noble, while comic characters are ignoble and lower birth and foolish. So who is this Horace? Horace is a Roman poet of Augustan period, and he is also well-known satirist of the period. So this Horace, from a classical Greek literature or classical Greek period, you can see he maintains that the tragic characters must be noble, while comic characters are ignoble and of a lower birth and foolish. So this is what you can see is the difference between tragedy and comedy made by Horace. Sir Molière believed that his audience could learn from the dramatization of a ridiculous and universal types. So Molière is a French actor, director, and writer. Also, he also had penned several of very significant comedies. So Molière believed that his audience could learn from the dramatization of a ridiculous and universal types. So this is what ridiculous and universal types were presented in the comedies, especially Molière's comedy. You can see follow such kind of maxim. So comedy therefore teaches through laughter. So tragedy teaches through tears. Comedy teaches us through laughter. Philip Sidney in the art of Poetica sees it as an is an imitation of a common errors of life which is presented in the most ridiculous and scornful manner so that spectator in is anxious to avoid such error himself. So this is again both this Philip Sidney and Molière, both these authors, you can see they were keen about the function of a comedy. So Molière believed that his audience could learn from dramatization of a ridiculous and universal types. However, this Philip Sidney also think that his character, his audience should learn, and for that purpose, the comedy should imitate common errors of life which is presented in a most ridiculous and scornful manner. This is very important adjectives, ridiculous and scornful manner. So these common errors were presented ridiculously and in a most scornful manners. As a result of that, spectators becomes anxious and started thinking about how to avoid such kind of errors. So this is what is the gain by the comedy. So Philip Sidney think in that way. So it should aim at being delightful, though not necessarily by provoking laughter. So this is what is another thing he is saying. It should aim at being delightful, though not necessary by provoking laughter. Then Ben Jonson, see another important theorist or another important literary man. So Ben Jonson also believes that laughter does not really help to achieve the aims of a comedy, but may subvert those aims. So it is not necessary, as according to this Ben Jonson and Philip Sidney, they both these people think that provoking laughter means not a comedy. So we should not misunderstood that a provoking laughter means comedy. Understand? For Philip Sidney and Ben Jonson, for both these person, you can see comedy should teach the audience through the laughter. So this is what Ben Jonson and this Philip Sidney were thinking. So Ben Jonson believes that laughter does not really help to achieve the aims. Instead of that, many times it subverts those aims. So laughter many times kills the actual aim of the comedy. So this is what Ben Jonson is thinking. He draws his theme from human errors and follies. So this Ben Jonson also draws his theme from human errors and follies. He insisted that a playwright should attempt to improve moral life and arouse gentle affections. So Ben Jonson insists that a playwright should attempt to improve moral life and arouse gentle affections through the plays or through the comedies. So both Ben Jonson and Philip Sidney think that comedy should be used as a tool to teach something to the person. Then John Dryden, see, another important author, literary personality. He is thinking or he is insisting that comedy should portray the eccentricity of character. While again, Northrop Frye is another important intellectuals, literary personality. Says that a critic says that the lightness of a touch is the hallmark of a comedy. So you can understand that this whole paragraph gives us the opinions of different theories, different philosophers, different literary personalities. Even he started with a Horace and Aristotle, a Greek uh, intellectuals regarding the comedy. They think that comedy should not depict a man of a noble characters from men of a noble origin, but they should be from a lower class, lower bend of morality, but it should not cause any pain. Then we learn about Molière, Horace and Molière. They were also thinking that the comedy should taught something with a laughter. Then Ben Jonson, John Dryden, we learn from them that it should teach and it should present common human errors in a very ridiculous manner, that people start think about it very seriously and they start avoiding such kind of errors. So we learn this from this paragraph. So we recognize comedy through its style, characterization, diction, and other elements of style. The purpose of comedy is to delight, to teach, and to entertain the audience through the presentation of a characters, situations, and ideas in a ridiculous manner. So you can understand this is also a very important thing that we should learn. The purpose of a comedy is to delight or to teach and to entertain. So these are the purpose, that is to delight, to teach, and to entertain the audience through how, through presentation of a characters. How these characters were presented, situations or characters or situations or ideas in a ridiculous manner. So this ridiculous manner arouses laughter among the audience. This helps to keep man close to sanity, balance, and to remind him of a human frailties. So this is what they try to do. So it helps to keep him humble and mindful of what he is rather than what he might wish himself to be. So this is what comedy is meant for. Comedy is meant to ask audience to be themselves instead of what they want to be. So this is what they were presenting idea, situation and characters in a ridiculous manner that arouses laughter in the audience, but at the same time they also teach audience how to behave in the society. So this is what comedy is meant. You can see this, all these things in the classical or after classical thinkers who were still adhered to or affiliate to the classical thought. They were thinking that comedy should be for the society's sake. It should be used as a tool to teach to the society. So this is what we learn. So in the next session, we will learn about a modern scholars, how what they believe or what they think about a comedy. So we will stop here and continue the same in the next session. Thank you for listening.